Alright, so we are on stage 4 of the Tour of North Georgia, round 2. This is the Habersham County road race, kind of a rolling hills, amazing beautiful course on rolling hills, smooth pavement, just a fun race course. And this is going into lap 2. There goes Andrew Knuckles, my teammate. There is a points sprint that Bart needs for the points to move up from 4th into 3rd. So I'm going to lead him out. That was our goal. I think we got like 2 kilometers to go to the sprint, and he's definitely in position, so I'm just going to go make sure I get in front of him. I had some cramping issues in the circuit race, cramped on the last time up the climb and got dropped. I finished and scored some points, not very many, but I scored some points, which helped. And today I brought some pickle juice because I knew it was going to be another hot one. Hot, humid days kind of wreak havoc on your legs. But yeah, it worked. The trick worked today because I felt great today. So yeah, we're coming into the last few kilometers. This big guy on the South Carolina team there is going to go to the front and just absolutely drill it. Which helps me. So then when I lighted up for Bart, we both kind of pulled clear and went 1 and 2 for the point sprint. Then we just kind of sat back in and waited for the sprint, you know, or waited for the finish. The race will unfold a little bit. I'll explain after the point sprint when we jump ahead to the last lap. I'll kind of explain what had happened in the race. At this point, we're all together. There had been a few brake attempts off the front, but nothing stuck. So there we are, 1 kilometer to go. It kind of curves around to the left, and then up to the finish line. Kind of maybe a slight uphill grade, but nothing too serious. There's Mark Tucker there. He's leading the 40 plus. He actually did quite a bit of help to help us in this race, just keeping things steady and strung out at times. Closed a lot of gaps. He was our kind of our secret teammate that nobody knew about. He was so far ahead in his Omnium standings that he could afford to play around a little bit. And if he couldn't, okay, so I'm going to light it up right here for Bart. Up around the corners to the finish line. I had some gear issues there, so I was having trouble getting it to jump in the 11. It finally kicked in, and I was able to get on top of the gear. So we're easing up, and Bart takes the first, I take the second, and now we got to try to recover because we got a downhill and then an uphill. So I think I stopped the video around the corner here and jump ahead to the last lap. So what happens is a brake, a 4 guy slipped off, and there was a guy in the brake from the 40 plus named Oleg, big strong Russian guy, Igor's brother. I think it's Igor's brother, if not it's his teammate. Anyway, strong rider. It's good solo time trial type rider. He just rode away from that small group that was up the road, and none of us knew he was gone, or if anybody did, they didn't say anything. So we brought back the one small group. I think had like 3 riders in it, and when we brought them back, we thought we had everybody back, but there was another guy that was still up the road, and so none of us knew it. So at this point, we're on the tail end of the race here. It's kind of the backside of the course, which is just kind of rollers, lots of trees, tree canopy roads, just beautiful country out here. and Jamie Carney and a guy from Florida Fellow are up the road, and I just kind of, I mean, we could see them up there, and I just kind of thought that everybody would just peg them back, but I think Florida Fellow is doing a fair bit of just kind of subtle blocking. I'm gonna go to the front because I'm like, well, I don't want to let them, you know, we're here to race. Bart's behind me, so there's Mark. Mark's telling me to come with him. So I'm gonna see if these guys are gonna go with him. If not, I'm gonna go jump up there with them and start going to work. Nobody was really motivated to chase. I mean, it is what it is. There might have been some team tactics going on, but you know, Jamie was so far ahead in the Omnium. I think it was just kind of pointless at that point for anybody to really want to chase. But I wanted to win the stage, so at least to salvage something, you know, and or move up in the Omnium. So I just get to the front and start going to work. I figured if we could get them within sight, and maybe it would incite some chasing, because a lot of times with breakaways, when they're out of sight, it's out of mind. There's kind of that saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. So if you can at least get close enough to where they can see them, they'll help start to chase a little bit. Alright, so I'm kind of like elbowing these guys to see if someone will come help. Looks like it's just going to be Mark and myself. Okay, there it goes. There's a guy that's going to help. So we're just going to keep working here. So we got a right-hand turn coming up, and then it's, I think, like 3 kilometers to the finish. Yeah, that was it. So I'm gonna just keep working, keep it rolling. Started to feel really good here. I took my flask of pickle juice and no cramping. I mean, I already had a fair bit of fitness coming into this race, but you know, when you're cramping, there's nothing you can do. Bart had some issues with cramping in this race, which I didn't know. I just, after that points premium, he looked so good, I thought for sure he'd be there. So I was busting my butt to keep this race moving. There's Ralph there from Florida Bello. He and I finished just off the back of the circuit race on the last lap. I had never cramped so bad in a race. My legs just completely locked up, and I had given my pickle juice to Bart, and he ended up getting third. So I guess that was a smart thing to do for me, but didn't help my chances in the circuit race any. But honestly, I didn't really have much of a chance on that course anyway with that finishing climb. I would have just finished with the pack at the best. But this race is a different story. This had my kind of finish, my kind of race. I love the kind of races where it's just single file strung out, and the faster the better. This is like that last little kicker. There's like one little uphill. I know it says 0%, but it definitely was not. It was probably closer to like 3 or 4%. It was just a little bit of a grade. Just enough to where it would be a launching pad for some people to try to get away. There goes Igor. There goes Pablo. This guy started to come over into me. was trying to figure out if anybody was going to be doing a lead out or if it's just going to be just people. So here's the little gas station, right-hand turn. This is the final turn to the finish. From this point, there's like 3 kilometers to go. So I'm in a perfect position. Mark Tucker's up front, just kind of pegging back anything that goes. He was just so strong this weekend. What I didn't want to do was get boxed in, so I wanted to make sure I was heading out. There goes Corey McCracken. He's wanting to get points, you know, for himself as well for the Omnium. I don't see Bart. I don't hear Bart. I'm kind of looking around. So at this point, I'm going to try to salvage what I can for myself. There's a small group that kind of rolled off the front, and oh yeah, that's them right there. So these the little group, they go, and it's like everybody just like watches them right away. I'm like, what? Come on, guys, this is a bike race, you know. You don't let anybody go in the last 2 kilometers ever. You got to keep it stitched up. So they're like right there, and Jamie and the guy on the break are like right in front of them as well. We didn't catch them, but we came pretty close. If we had it just strung out here, maybe. But see, that's that little group right there. We're so close to the finish. I just thought I'm just gonna get up on their wheel at least. I don't really foresee anybody doing any kind of lead out at this point, so. Mark's on the front, just kind of riding a hard tempo, which for him is probably like 250 watts. I had to be careful not to cross the yellow line there because the referees were watching everything. They were relegating people for crossing the yellow. So I just roll up to these guys. Everybody's single file on my wheel behind me, and I think we got like a kilometer to go at this point. Yeah, there's the kilometer to go sign. So I'm still looking. I don't hear Bart. I don't see Bart. So I'm just gonna. I was kind of hoping somebody would go early and I could launch off of them, but nobody did. And then this is just 29 miles an hour. It's just way too slow. So I think I start my sprint really early. So as soon as we make this left-hand bend, where that tree line is on the right is where the finish line is. So I remember I lit out really early. I hear people starting to yell, like, go, go, go behind me. So I kind of thought, well, I'm going to get swarmed or I'm going to go. So, yep, I launch right here. I was already in my 11, so I don't have to worry about the shifting issues. So I just got on top of this gear as best I could, and I got as arrow as I could, hugged the right side of the road, so they have to come around me on the long side, and just try to make the shortest line as possible to the finish line. And I looked back and nobody was coming around me. So I ended up holding on for second place. Well, that was it. That's a wrap. Super fun race. I ended up third overall in the Omnium from this. And Bart was fourth, and then Bart got third and from both stages combined together. So, yeah, looks like that's going to be it for racing for the rest of the year. So I'll see you guys next year.